Hello photographers, let's talk about the Pentax K-1. Now the K-1 is the long-awaited, lusted after, oh my god, I can't believe it's actually really for real here, full-frame Pentax DSLR camera. So this camera has a 36.2 megapixel Sony full-frame sensor. It does not have an anti-aliasing filter in it. It has an ISO of up to 204,800. It is the first full-frame DSLR camera with 5-axis in-body image stabilization. Now Pentax does some really cool stuff with the ability to move that camera. In addition to the image stabilization, which is rated for up to 5 stops of effectiveness, it also uses that sensor shift technology to simulate an anti-aliasing filter. It also uses that sensor shift ability to create high resolution photos. Now this does not work like it does in the Olympus cameras. With the Pentax high resolution mode, what it does is takes 4 photos, shifting the sensor 1 pixel for each photo, and then it uses those photos to create a super high color depth resolution image. So you still have a 36.3 megapixel image in terms of the image dimension, but you get less noise and better color resolution because of this sensor shifting and stitching those photos together. And the last thing you can do with that in-body image stabilization system is use the Astro Tracer function, which allows you to take photos of the night sky for longer exposures. And what happens is the Astro Tracer function will actually move the sensor in the camera as the Earth moves to eliminate the star trails that you would normally get with a long exposure with the rotation of the Earth. Now, in addition to that, Pentax finally bumped up their flash sync speed, and it went from 1/180th in all of their previous DSLRs up to 1/200th of a second in the Pentax K-1. The K-1 also has built-in Wi-Fi and GPS. It has this crazy cool articulating LCD screen on the back, unlike any other articulating screen I've ever seen before. It uses all existing K-mount lenses, and when I say all, I mean all. Every K-mount lens in history can be put on this full-frame DSLR, from the old film manual SLR lenses to the full-frame brand new lenses that were just released, which include the 15-30, 24-70, and 70-200mm f2.8 zooms, and all of Pentax's existing DA lenses for their APS-C DSLRs. Now, when you use those DA lenses, the K-1 goes into crop mode, which means you actually only get a 15 megapixel image. The camera shoots at 4.4 frames per second for up to 17 raw photos when shooting in full frame mode, but that bumps up to 6.5 frames per second and 50 raw photos when you're shooting in crop mode. The camera has 33 focus points, 25 of those are cross type, and it uses the new Fox 12 autofocusing system, and it shoots 1080p up to 30 frames per second with a microphone input on the camera. And you get all of that and more that I'm not talking about for $1,800. So what we have here is an interesting camera, because this camera is very late to the full-frame DSLR game, okay? There are lots of full-frame cameras in the market, but that doesn't mean that this Pentax camera is not welcome in the market and that it's not a good thing to have. So now I want to cut right to the chase and just address who should buy this camera. And first and foremost, if you're sitting on a whole bunch of K-mount lenses and you're a Pentax fan and you've been scouring the internet for years waiting for a Pentax full-frame camera, I don't know why you're wasting your time watching this video. Just go buy the camera. But if you're not a person sitting on that K-mount horde of lenses, it depends. It always depends. This camera is going to be a fantastic camera. It ships in April. I haven't touched one yet, but let's be honest, I've said it before and I'll say it again, pretty much any camera you can buy today is going to be a great camera. If I had to say who this camera was targeted for, I would say landscape and outdoor type photographers. It is a Pentax, which means it's weather sealed and it's built super tough, and it's going to be able to stand up to the use and abuse of getting out there and taking some damn photos. You could also easily use this in studio. Landscape photographers, nighttime photographers shooting the stars in the sky will definitely appreciate the Astro Tracer function. just about anybody could buy this camera if you're looking for a full frame camera. Now, what I wouldn't recommend doing is buying this if you're looking to shoot sports, because the frame rates and the buffer are not that fantastic. But I mean, you could get away shooting sports. There are just better options out there. And to that end, I want to just take a couple more minutes and compare this camera to other full frame cameras in its class. And this camera comes in at an interesting place because there's really only one other DSLR that is in the same price point. And that's not even really true, because the closest one in price is the D750, which is $100 more. The D750 retails for $1,996, whereas the K1 retails at $1,899. The K1 has 36.2 megapixels, while the D750 has 24 megapixels. So if you're looking for maximum resolution for the money, you can actually spend less money and get more resolution with the K1. To get that resolution in a DSLR, you've got to go to the D810, which is significantly more expensive than the K1. The ISO on the K1 is really the standout in its class right now. Maxing out at 204,800, the closest competitors are the Canon 6D and the Sony A7R with 25,600 native ISO. The D750 only goes up to 12,800 in its native range. In terms of frame rate, the K1, like I said, is kind of low at 4.4. The D610, which currently retails for $1,500, comes in at 6 frames per second, and the D750 at 6.5. So, like, if you're looking for the frame rate, the D750 is going to be your better option. Now, GPS and some of these other things are all pretty comparable. The video is pretty comparable across its class. The D750 can shoot up to 60 frames per second at 1080p, whereas the K1 can only shoot at 30 frames per second at 1080p. But all of these cameras in this class also have mic inputs. So what we're looking at here is a camera that kind of fits right into the center of all of these other cameras in the market and gives you one more choice to look at when you're considering buying a camera. Bottom line, the K1 is a fantastic camera. Now, yes, I've not held one, I've not shot with one, I have not looked at the photos, but let's be real. Like I've said before, it's 2016. Every camera out there is a good camera. The K1 is no exception. It's in a crowded market, but I think it offers some really exceptional value. And if you've been considering or waiting for a Pentax full-frame camera, don't waste any time. Just get out there and buy it. But if you have any questions about this, cameras, the K1, anything else, let me know down in the comments. Then do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you really like this video, please share it with your friends. Let them know about that K1. But the thing you need to do, the only thing that really matters, is getting out there and taking some damn photos with whatever camera you've got. I'll see you guys next week.